Hello out there, Foxes fans, and welcome back to another edition of the U.S. Foxes podcast, coming to you a little bit earlier than normal due to some schedule conflicts, but coming to you happier than we have been in a long time. I, as always, am your host, Matt Folks, joined today by two of my wonderful co-hosts, Mr. Jason Becker in New York City. Jason, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. I couldn't wait to get this episode going. Didn't want to hold it in anymore. The positivity is oozing out of every pore and orifice of my body right now.
Yeah, I know, man. I was ready to be loud and proud, just like the KP sounded after that wonderful little swinger from Timmy Castagne, but we will get into that. We are also joined by our fellow co host, Mr. Jim Harris, down in Houston, the Texas Fox. What's up, brother?
Hey, how's it going? Good to see you. And like Jason, super excited to talk about a game where, hey, we won. But not only did we win, but I think the style and manner that we played was just, proper football, attacking, no fear. Well, maybe some fear in the first half, but not in the second half. And then I think we ended up really strong and kicking on into the next couple of massive games that we've got coming.
Yeah, I think the word that I would use is responded, because it would have been very easy for us to just tuck our tail between our legs, Jason.
Yeah, and normally this season we've had to rely on Chris for any ounce of optimism, and he's running the scenes, producing the show behind the scenes today. But I think all three of us will be able to feed off of the positive energy that emitted from Filbert Way. And I think this is going to be a very happy next half hour, 40 minutes or so from all of us.
Yeah, definitely. When we talk to Chris to get the show started off, he's got some stuff going on at home, delivery or something that he needs to be there for. But he was already smiling ear to ear. And I can tell you, as someone that was in the bar with him yesterday, we were smiling ear to ear after that one. So the positivity was there. Man, I think first off, just to see the lineup that came out, guys, and you get an idea that Dean's blue and white army ain't fucking around. We had very, very strong Great Escape vibes going on with Daka, Nacho, and Vards all starting in the lineup, and my brain immediately went back to the Yajoa, Vardy, and Nuge days. I don't know about you guys, but what do you think, Jason, when you saw that right off the bat just explode off the page?
Yeah, Dean Smith's Kamikaze Foxes, as what I thought of. Like, it was, with the news of Madison being ill, Barnes still not being fit, to just go all out like that, I think was a really bold move by the new man in charge. And it was like one of those things where Wolves have been pretty sorry in front of goal for most of this season. So it's like, screw it, just lay it down before the match even starts, and just let them know, if you're going to win this game, you're going to have to outgun us, and we don't think that you have the artillery to do so.
I saw somebody on Reddit said that it was Dino Dynamism versus Brendan Ball, Jim. And what an exciting lineup. Obviously, sucks to not have Matters, who was sick with illness. And obviously, Harvey's still hurt. But you got to be, looking at that lineup, that's pretty awesome to see.
Oh, absolutely. I think back to Ranieri's RAF days where he wanted people bombing on, and he clearly went with pace. There's a lot of talk in the week of, hey, let's play two up top. Let's play, we've got to play Iheanacho. Is Vardy, up for the task? And, Daka needs a look in maybe after the last couple of weeks for Vardy. But I actually thought it was Jamie's best game for us for a long time, maybe back even to that last Wolves game when we played them earlier in the season when he got on the score sheet. But I think, they really played all well together, as it was really clear that Smith wanted to stretch the play a bit more on the counter attack. We let Wolves kind of have possession. We sucked them in. We maybe let them have a bit too much possession in the first half an hour. But I think from then on, it was all us. And it really showed that the positivity that Dean Smith and his team, Shaky and John Terry, I can't call him JT. Sorry, he's not quite our own yet, but are kind of instilling in the players and the fight that they've put into that squad that could have potentially capitulated.
Yeah. I think the one question mark that most people had was, the two question marks were, should Vardy be playing? And I think he proved that he does still belong out there. We saw some vintage Vards moments. And then should Soumare's name be on the team sheet? And that's another player I think that has a lot to prove. And we know that the talent is there. And damn, I think he really did a hell of a job yesterday. And then Jib, just kind of having to mess around with the lineups probably so late. I'm not sure that they had planned going into the weekend to play this kind of setup, but it says a lot about the character of the squad, that players were willing to go in and play in maybe uncomfortable positions and take on additional responsibilities, like Daka being one of those players, really playing as a midfielder for most of the game. But the will is there, the fight is there. The crowd certainly was behind the boys from the very beginning, and it was very reassuring to see. And I think everyone now is going into these next, 2 games especially, but then the rest of the season with a lot more optimism.
I think the other thing is, Jason, there were question marks over Victor Christensen last week as well. He got subbed off. I think it clearly showed that he's better as a fullback in a back four than he is as a wing back, because he didn't cover himself in glory. He had a tough, Man City's right midfield is probably, up there with the best in the world, if not the best. So, but he had a torrid time, and for him to kick on and put in a shift as well. And I was also personally quite surprised around like Fass over Suter, because we've sort of seen that Fass has got an error in him. We know Cags has got the odd error, but he's been imperious in the last 2 games that he's come back, and he's really holding that team together. And I think like the back four as a unit played fantastically well. I think, obviously Timmy gets the headlines with his goal, but Fast put in some amazing blocks. Cags was just marshalling the back line. He carried the ball forward progressively. That play when he kind of did his old school shuffling and pushing the player off the ball, so just went out for a goal kick when we were under pressure. It was great to see. Yeah,
Fast and Cags, Pantene Pro V, as we can call them. I mean, those two, I don't know. What a connection. And I was going to throw, Cags in there. You were speaking about 2 players stepping up, and, he played amazing last week, but to come in then the next week again, when lots of us are saying, can he do it 2 weeks in a row? Was this only a fuck you, Brendan performance? But then to see him put it in again, dude, it was just incredible. The dude is just on a different level, Jason.
Yeah, man. And we all really like Cags. Like, Leicester fans love this guy. We know what he can do. He was a PFA player of the year, a team of the year player. He's got a bit of nastiness in him. He's great on the ball. If he can stay focused on what he's doing and rein in that aggression when needed, he is an elite defender. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Çağlar Söyüncü is a hell of a player, man. And, it makes you wonder a bit. I mean, obviously I want to kind of be positive and go forward here, but, really makes you wonder what the hell was going on behind the scenes between him and Rodgers. And, there's one thing that, Rodgers, he got the best out of Maddison and players like that. Harvey Barnes has produced at a great clip when he's healthy for us, but he does sure seem to kind of ruin defenders. And, how have we been playing this whole season where everything is going wrong, and we've just kept Söyüncü on the bench all year. And every time he's had to come out and actually play for us this year, he's done a hell of a job. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. Whether he's going to stay with us this year or whether he's leaving, He had to come in after not playing games for however long it was, and play against Man City the first time he was brought back into the lineup earlier this year by Brendan. Had to do it again last game, and then comes in this game and just runs the damn show and just completely shuts down Wolves' attack. How do you have a player like this and you're facing relegation in the face and you don't want to use him? Like, swallow your pride, man.
Yeah.
Whoever, whatever you were doing, Brendan, like, it's just like, I just don't understand it. And Dean Smith deserves a lot of credit. I mean, he knows how good Soyuncu is. He saw what kind of player Soyuncu is in training, and he immediately communicated his faith in Soyuncu. He's been positive about him to the media, which Rodgers certainly wasn't. And it just shows like how important it is to get your players on your side and swallow your pride in this business and do what you need to do to get results. And damn it, Dean Smith did.
Yeah,
Soyuncu did. Samari did. All of these players that have been left out in the wilderness stepped up and played great games.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, just looking at the substitutions and the lineups that he's putting together, I don't want to talk about Brendan any more than we absolutely have to. But just the passion that Dean is showing on the sidelines, screaming at a ref. How good is it to see your manager screaming a fucking referee again, you guys? Like, just a little bit.
That was better than any kind of passing, intricate passing play that the side made. It was really good to see. The guy gets it, man. He really gets it. It's not really just about X's and O's. It's about getting everyone, behind you and fighting together. And I mean, this sounds very Jesse Marsh, very American of me, but to speak like that. But Smith gets it, man. He and everywhere he goes, for the most part, his players love playing for him.
You can tell already, you guys. I mean, we'll talk about the post-whistle stuff that happened post-whistle, but I have not seen Yuri smile like that since FA Cup final. Like, his passion after the match, and he didn't have. We'll talk about his match, but he's got the boys fired up, Jim, and there's no doubt about that.
Absolutely. You can just see from the presses, from the training sessions, just from the way he's out on the pitch, encouraging. Every close up, he was talking to a player and giving them some advice or giving them some tips on what to do, but in a positive manner that wasn't overly complicated, overly thought through. It was just, hey, Patson, push on, do this, move the ball quicker. That was it. He trusted his players to execute, but he encouraged them and he helped from the sideline. And again, I think he adapted when things were not quite going as well as it could be. And he saw where we need to make, in-game changes at a time where, it would make a difference to the game as well. So, it's super impressed with, the couple of games. And just looking at Cags, the last game he started before the Man City was against Gillingham in the FA Cup. He then got 8 minutes against Villa, but he didn't start a game before that until the end of October when we played Man City last time. So the guy's had 3 Premier League starts. He's played more games for Turkey this season than he's played for us. And
captain as well, captain of Turkey when he did play.
Come through, and as Jason said, it's just so impressive that I think just at a level of professionalism and commitment to be able to keep yourself physically and mentally sharp, to be able to step back in is astounding. And he looks like he did that, the seasons when we were coming 5th, and he did get, in that Premier League team. But let's hope he continues.
Yeah, I mean, look at it. Like, if put yourself in Dino's shoes, like the guy, it's almost like a video game where you're on level 1 and you find a super powerful weapon hidden in a back room, and it's like, all right, well, I'll just use this the rest of this level, because the fact that he's just sitting on the bench waiting there, like, yeah, I'm available to play, coach. It's pretty insane. And yeah, tapping into what older players have is something that we've also seen, and we spoke a little bit about it earlier, but yeah, vintage old Jamie Vardy made an appearance this week, guys, and it was coming as a direct connection of Iheanacho just putting him through. And we talked about that Nacho Vardy connection and the fruits of the labor that we've seen those two put in before, and we were hoping that we might see it, and damned if we didn't see it this week more than a few times. And the biggest one, of course, is when Vardy does his patented tap around the goalkeeper. Nacho puts him through. Vardy taps it around, laces through, gets taken down, and then Nacho does the rest and puts away the penalty. But man, it's good to see him doing vintage Vardy things, isn't it, Jason?
It is. It is. He really just had the keeper in two minds there, which is what Vardy does when, you know, it's hard to kind of judge his pace when he attacks a through ball. And that happened there, and it was how many times have we seen that over the years? And it's great to see that, you know, he still has that in the bag.
Maybe Shaky helping him wake some stuff up, Jim. What do you think it could be helping Vardy remember himself?
Yeah, I totally. And I think after that chance, or that half chance he had in the second minute, I think it was, where he was through and he could have had a shot, and we all probably were screaming, shoot, yeah, need a goal. And he passed it to Tete and it was blocked, which showed that we were up for it from the first minute. But I think personally for Vardy, that could have been a pivotal point of, you know, hey, he's, you know, again, he doesn't want to take a shot. He doesn't want to take a chance. And which we talked a bit about last week when we played Man City, and, you know, the offside situation where he took it round Ederson and didn't put it in the back of the net. And we thought, oh, is he wanting it? But I think he certainly showed today or yesterday that he wants this. He wants to keep us in the Premier League. He ran his heart out, and he kind of came off knackered. You know, he was injured, but he was also, you could see he was exhausted, and he put everything into that 60 odd minutes that he'd got. And I think after the game, we heard Dean Smith again say, hey, look, started Jamie. I told him when he came off, great performance, but we just wanted to put an extra midfielder in. And it was quite, you know, it would have been a tough call. And I think I think it could have been he or Daka that had gone off. But I think, as Jason said, Daka's performance on the left wing, he grew into that throughout the game as well. And, but yeah, it's all credit to Jamie Vardy. And I want to, you know, keep on topic with him for now and just say, like, you know, he got us the penalty. He threw off an injury. He caused the crowd to get excited when he kind of put that shoulder challenge in as well. That wasn't, I don't think, was a foul. It was one of those where it's a Jamie Vardy. He gives it a little bit of extra sauce. So probably it is, because, you know, that's what he's trying to do. You know, I think that, you know, if it's a hockey foul, you know, he's taken more than the 2 steps or whatever. So it becomes charging rather than a block, right? You know, you guys know that better than me. I'm just going from my EA.
No, that's pretty accurate. Yeah.
So I think that's that was just great to see. And it made the crowd, who were, you know, it must have been so great to be in the crowd yesterday and just really kind of get pumped up and get behind the team. And they did an amazing job as well.
Well, shout out in the crowd to 2 of our fellow U.S. Foxes, Mr. Jordan Becker, friend of the podcast, has been on here many a time. Jason's brother was in the house. What an amazing game for him to be at. And our friend Lawrence was there as well, hobnobbing up in the suite. So, man, yeah, shout out to those guys for helping provide an absolutely electric atmosphere, because that, you know, when you can hear it. I mean, just the KP sounds different when it's rocking and shaking like it was. And you could tell yesterday that it was definitely on the level of that. Let's talk about why that penalty was so important, because of the goal that we gave away. We see Yuri Tielemans with a bad giveaway. It was kind of weird for me, though, because obviously it was a giveaway, but I felt like only half our players were actually playing. I think guys were waiting for a call to be made or something, and that led to them being able to just walk through. I don't think it was as bad as people were making it out to sound when you have guys. Now, obviously, the old adage, you know, you got to play until the whistle and all that. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on that play, Jason, and our response to it?
Well, I think what's concerning to me is that this is the 3rd game in a row we've given up the same exact goal. Madison kind of, getting the ball with his back to the play, receiving a short pass deep in our half. Ndidi against Man City, and now Yuri. And I think that's something that Dean Smith has seen. He doesn't want us to play that way. Wants us to get the ball up the pitch quicker, and doesn't want his, midfielders receiving that, especially the ones who should be higher up in the pit on the pitch, receiving the ball in that situation. So I think that's still a bit of a hangover from how we were playing under Brendan. So that kind of might take some time to work out. But Yuri is still kind of, probably more used to playing in practices and in training where maybe your teammates aren't going to jump on you as aggressively. Wolves, no pun intended, really kind of hunted him like a pack there and got the ball right off of him. And I think everybody was just shocked and surprised that it happened. But the response after the goal was disappointing, but the response of the team, was encouraging. It was a tough first half after that. Wolves, started to take more control of the game, but the boys, bent but didn't break, and kept trying to kind of get back into the game, and the effort was certainly still there. The crowd was certainly still behind the players, and I think they knew, like, hey, look, this was a fluke, but if we stick to what we're trying to do here, we'll get our rewards, and it happened.
Jim, you in agreement pretty much with all that?
Absolutely. Jason, I think nailed it with the sort of, it was like one of those training, you're not allowed to touch me. This is non-contact. But I think in initial watching, and maybe this is me having mental bias, but because we've seen it too many times of a wild pass, underhit pass that is putting his midfielder in trouble. But watching it back, that is not the case. It was a perfectly good pass. It was well weighted. Yuri just takes a really bad touch and it just goes like 2 or 3 yards ahead of him. And in the Premier League, you can't do that. I think we are all expecting him to do sort of a bit of a Maddison, Shield, pivot, whatever. And he just couldn't quite control football, and it just showed how rusty he was. I think we also saw him tiring I saw him tiring very, very early in the first half. Yeah. I think he ran more in the first 25 minutes of that game than he did in the Man City game when he was on the pitch the whole time, because obviously we were pinned back and there was a lot more sort of back and forth and progressiveness. And I think after about 35 minutes, you saw his hands on his knees and he's doubled over. And it's like, that's like watching me play, not watching Yuri Tillemans play. And I think it was for him to have such a poor game. But Matt, as you mentioned, the fact that he was there and he was smiling and beaming and cheering on the crowd, he pumped up the crowd before the penalty. He pumped up the crowd, after the game. He was on the bench. He was the first one to really
sprinting off the bench.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's just, again, we kind of said last week, it's great to see that he's not mailing it in, because he's, potentially going at the end of the season as well, like Hags. But the fact that he's mentally part of the squad, regardless of his personal performance, is what you really want to see. And, I think he tried. He did a sort of, middling job. He would have been a candidate for me to maybe take off at halftime and bring on a Mendy, or bring on a Keane and Dewsbury Hall. I think probably Mendy, because I know we're going to get onto him in a minute, but watching Soumaré kind of progress the ball forward and carry it shows he's not a 6. He's a more ball carrying 8, and he's got the strength, but he's got the vision as well to be able to play that. And the criticisms we've all had of him have been mental, just like mental concentration around defending. So yeah. But yeah, it was tough to go down after 13 minutes. I wrote in my notes, like, here we go again. But yeah, we battled through.
But it would have been the perfect. We said a little bit of it earlier. Spoke a little bit about it earlier that it was just freaking. That would have been a perfect op to just be like, fuck, hang your hats. And I think even in the bar, I think we were a little guilty of that ourselves. But yeah, Jason, speak some more on that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone could look at that lineup that we put out and say, oh, we're going for a clean sheet. I think all of us would look at that lineup and say, all right, we're probably going to give up a goal today, but we're going to just need to score more. So giving up one early probably, wasn't the worst thing. It didn't feel like it was the end of the world because we knew we, would get chances. And I think the players knew that they would get chances too. And so that was good. And, we talk about Yuri having a difficult game, but this is kind of, what a real team does when they're fighting together and fighting for a cause is someone else steps up to get that guy's back and to pick him up, and that's what Soumaré did all game. I thought he was fantastic. I know it's been a tough year for him, and Jim's mentioned sort of those mental kind of lapses that we've seen from him, but we know he's got all the tools, he's got the vision. But just as important as having that vision, he has the technical ability to make certain passes. I mean, when you look at his highlights from the game, he was making passes with both feet that were not easy to make. And so to pick out your players and to deliver the ball the way he did, to cover as much ground as he did with a tiring midfield partner next to him, and also just to show up and play. And each game is the biggest game of the season right now, and to do that now and now what's the latest biggest game of the season after you've experienced 2 years of pretty much nonstop criticism, to be able to block all of that out and to show up for your squad and to do that in front of your home fans was really impressive. And I have to say, I was just so thrilled for him, and I can only imagine, how good he felt after putting in a performance like that, because it was truly worthy of a man of the match award. Soyuncu, I think, got it, and deservedly, right. But Soumaré had every right to be up there.
Almost scored a goal too, and I mean, it just speaks more to Dean's dynamism, as we called it earlier. Like, honestly, you've got a guy that is probably being allowed to play to his strengths now. Yes. And not being, buttoned into this Brendan ball bullshit. How many B's can I say? And, being able to actually play to his strengths as a player, which we're seeing all around the field, and just watching guys reap the rewards. So, man, to see him, the way you spoke about him getting forward, but then again, his vision on, let's talk about the goal, you guys, the vision to see that 1-2 pass to Christensen. I mean, that's FIFA shit, Jason. I mean, it's beautiful.
It was like he saw the play, several steps ahead of time.
Right.
He knew when he was, he was going to get that ball back, and he knew where to play it. Mm-hmm. And not only that, he kind of was handcuffed when he received received the ball back, and he was still able to make that pass. It was
the window.
A great play. He was kind of like in between feet there when he received the ball, and it was sort of, and he handcuffed, foot cuffed, I guess, and but still got the ball through.
And he played it on the run as well. He dribbled, he carried it for 5-10 yards or whatever it was before he played it, and he let Christensen kind of come and play it. And it was almost like for the first goal, that was just sort of similar with the ball that Kelechi played through to put Vardy through as well. Again, beautifully weighted pass. Nice to see that we're playing quick passes through the lines to get runners onto the ball, rather than sort of play it to feet behind people, having to turn. It slows down the game. The defense gets back, and we've got nothing.
That's like what I was saying, I think, a couple of weeks ago. Like, how come every damn team that we play can play a pass behind our defense, but we never seem to be able to do that, against the other team? And look at what they did. They were playing balls behind the other team's back line. Iheanacho, making that pass to Vardy that drew the penalty. That ball through to Christensen from Samare. This is what you've got to do. This is how you win football games. This is how you create quality chances, and this is how you make football fun to watch for everyone. And it was great to see those types of plays. And Iheanacho too. I mean, I don't know what else I can say about that guy, but there have been so many times when we've needed someone to step up, someone to get us goals, and he seems to be the guy to always do that for us. He made that pass to Vardy that set up the first goal. He had the stones to take the penalty as coolly as he did. I think scoring that penalty, as just calmly slotting it in the way he did, I think he made it even better. I think a lot of folks were like, why is he taking it? Why isn't Yuri taking it? Oh, Vardy's hurt. There are other guys. And Iheanacho was like, I got this. Don't even worry about this. I'm going to make this look as easy as possible. And he did, and just kind of made everyone just feel so reassured. It was like, I don't know. Can you guys tell? Can you tell I'm pretty damn happy, pretty pleased about this? And yeah.
Some damn senior man shit right there, stepping up and knocking that down like that. It was just
it was he did it he could have had the FA Cup trophy on his head the way when he was celebrating, and he was still slotted that goal in, no problem.
Would have been perfect. Shout out though to Christensen on that for that cross too. Finding Timmy to also coolly tuck that away like a Belgian waffle was just chef kiss. Absolutely gorgeous. Sends the KP fucking nuts. It was literally Leonardo Ulloa, Norwich, those kind of vibes on that one, you guys. So shout out to two boys getting that done as well, because not an easy play with the Wolves falling back like they were, and it says a lot. And man, Timmy looked, what a celebration! The relief of the world off of his shoulders after that. So, and what a guy that deserves it.
Many a beer was spilt that goal going in, I'm sure.
Well, we were all going crazy at Football Factor, and I ran through one of the flags and over towards the Palace guys too, and they were like, steady yourself to see this too. But it was just, there was such a release from everyone. We haven't seen the boys do anything like that in so long. Yeah. And to do it when it mattered the most, I think it felt really good for all of us.
Yeah.
It really was.
I can only imagine what Jordan and Lawrence felt like in the stadium. And Jordan, I love you, and always want to see you and hang out with you, but sorry, pal, you're gonna have to stay out there for the rest of the season if we're gonna start picking up wins like this.
100%. Yeah, I'm gonna need you to just move in over there, bud. It was incredible, guys. I want to talk for another quick second too about a young man stepping up into a role that I had questions all year about. But that's Daniel Everson, who looks very, very comfortable in this keeper number one role. Jim, I'll start with you and your thoughts as a former goalie on what you've seen so far out of the young Dane, because right now he looks like he's been doing it a long time.
He has, and I think something that's helping him is not having to play these sort of chip passes out. We saw a lot of him kicking it long. We saw a lot of him either or playing a quick roll or pass to the back four and getting it going. But I think his positioning, his confidence that he creates for his back four. I felt nervous, obviously, for the Ruben Neves free kicks, but I didn't feel like Danny Ward levels of nerves. I think we also, going back to the World Cup when we saw Marcus Rashford score against Danny Ward, I think most of the world was surprised and praised Rashford for how great a finish it was. The Leicester fans went, no, Danny Ward just didn't cover his goal and made it easy. Everson didn't. I think we saw the one that hit the top of the net. He had it covered. The one that he saved and parried when we were 2-1 up. That was a really, really good free kick. It was traveling, and he made himself, he covered across, and he was watching it the whole way. And I just think, Matt, he's to me, he's cementing himself into the team, and not just for the rest of the season where, we potentially talked about, do we need a new goalkeeper? You can see him growing into it and just getting that confidence, and potentially what the Preston North End fans said about him becoming their player of the season. He's just creating that calmness at the back that we know he'll come and he'll make saves, but he'll also cover crosses and do other things too.
Yeah, he's got incredible vision, and not only in getting plays started, but also vision in watching balls come in, because a lot of times we would see Danny flail at some of these and tip them over when there's a question, so he's making the safe play. But yeah, what you spoke about when he's watching it, or he's doing the hands up, watching it go out to the side kind of thing, or watching go over the top. He sees the ball really well, and he just looks more and more and more comfortable back there, Jason.
Yeah, it looks like his positioning is really good. He always looks like very comfortable. Mm-hmm. He's never scrambling, and he does have good reflexes. He's a great shot stopper, and credit to the manager, credit to Smith too, to focus on what he have him do what he's good at. Mm-hmm. We're not good when our keeper has to make short little passes and do all of that. Get the ball up the pitch, get it away from your goal. And again, it just kind of makes me, it kind of reminds me of the Soyuncu situation. What are you doing? How are you keeping this guy on the bench all season? How are you letting it get to this point? But Iversen, he has been, I think, outstanding since he got the job. And now we're starting to see, we've got a kind of a back line that makes sense, that's defending well, a keeper that's giving all the players in front of him confidence. And then that kind of sort of builds out to the rest of the side. And now, look, here we are kind of building the spine back into the team. We're having Iversen play well, having Foss and Soyuncu play well, having Samare have the game that he did in the middle of the pitch, Iheanacho up there creating chances, Vardy getting behind the goal, and look at that. There's a spine of a pretty damn good team there, and that's without Madison in the lineup, and that's without Harvey Barnes in the lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good to me, man. If we could get just a little bit of confidence rolling with the boys, it's going to mean the world. Because hell, look, even Tete looked usable. He was making some passes. He had a couple chances. His corners. He's putting some great balls in from the corner. So who knows, guys, what could happen? Before we go any further, though, I did want to throw a couple minutes to our in-stadium correspondent, Mr. Oliver McLean, who sent us in his report from this week and the giant match that took place yesterday. So, Chris, if you got all these video ready, go ahead anytime.
Hey, Matt. Hey, yours Fox's report as well. Hope you're all as buzzing as I am after that 2-1 win against Wolves. It cannot be understated enough how big that 3 points is to our survival hopes. That is huge. Coming from a goal behind, showing that determination to want the ball to win it, to want to win the game is incredible. Wow, incredible. I'll be honest, after that first 10 minutes we were quality, we looked like we wanted it, but then we went a goal behind and just looked bad, just looked awful, kept giving the ball away, and it was just awful. And I'll be honest, I wanted to leave about 30-35 minutes, and then Iheanacho got that, Vardy won that penalty, which is prime Vardy, which is what we love, what we've missed seeing from your man. But yeah, that is a huge win. Wow. A big round of applause for Soyuncu. What a performance from that man there. Not being played all season for whatever reason under Rodgers, because they've got problems. what a performance from him. I do hope I've loved him since he came, and I hope he signs on, but I just don't think it's going to happen. But yeah, that is one of the biggest 3 points that we'll get all season, and I'm buzzing about it. It's actually made me look forward to a game for once against Leeds on Tuesday. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, just buzzing, absolutely buzzing. Come on, the City. Keep the faith as always. Cheers.
Absolute legend. How anyone could listen to that and not be totally excited for the Tuesday. What a legend, Jason.
Well done, also getting that last sip in before doing the video, and also shout out to Ali and his family for, I know, taking good care of Jordan out there, and I know they all watched the game out there yesterday, and you know, all had an awesome time. So wish I were with them, but I'll get over and see the McLean soon enough for sure.
Yeah, shout out to Maka, Mish, and Harry, and Bob, of course. And yeah, I think there couldn't be a better family. And the thing I also love about having Ollie do those is, for our American fans, just get to hear one of the most beautiful Leicester accents that you will hear on that young man. It's good for them to hear, Jim, don't you think?
Absolutely, yeah. You can tell that he had you could tell his voice was going. He cheered so much, and you know, amazing analysis as well as always from Ollie on that, and I did love the little sip of beer in between thoughts as well. What a way to clear your mind and refresh your vocal cords.
He's one of us. That's 100% sure. So guys, Tuesday, yeah, as Ollie said, we got Leeds next, who just got smoked 6-1 by Liverpool and then beat yesterday by Fulham 2-1. So they are going to be looking hungry. I don't know, what are you guys' thoughts heading into this one, Jim? We'll start with you. They're hunting points just as bad as we are right now.
They are, yeah. It's going to be a really, really interesting game to watch, and to see them they're putting in a lot of effort, and they are really playing hard. And I feel a lot more confident after yesterday's game than I would have been as well. I think just the fact that we just showed the energy and determination and quickness of moving the ball around, and we'll need to move the ball. We know what Leeds are going to do. They're going to press. They're going to stop us holding the ball at the back. They're going to run the hearts out. We've got to kind of play smart, tire them out, play through them. And I kind of really do want Harvey Barnes to come back, because he loves the game against Leeds as well. And I think maybe a bit of Jamie Vardy Yorkshire rivalry too would be great to see. But I'm loath to make a prediction, apart from it's going to be another one. We haven't got many days left to grow our fingernails back.
Your thoughts, Jason, heading into this one?
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to the game a lot more now after seeing the performance against Wolves than I would have been, let's say, if we didn't have that game there. We've been doing a lot of table watching, and so during our game, you know, there were lots of key games going on around us. So we've been watching everyone around us. We've been begging other sides for help, but then haven't been helping ourselves. And now we finally did pick up some points here. And so you can't go on a run of victories without getting the first one. But now that's kind of quickly behind us. And I think, you know, nobody was expecting anything out of Man City. Did still almost get a point there, but this was the first real winnable game. And the boys went out and got that win. So Leeds have been bottoming out. We know it's going to be a tough place to go, especially at night at Ellen Road. But I feel a lot better about going into that game, and I see no reason why this side, especially if they can be reinforced with a Maddison getting back into the lineup and Harvey Barnes coming back, I see no reason why we can't go up there and get all 3 points.
Yeah, it does say that Harvey will be back, according to Dean Smith, and it's something I'm reading. This was published 5 hours ago. So with Maddison, you know, and Harvey coming back into the side, I think It's you can only feel good. I mean, especially when you remember we beat them 2-0 already this year. So hopefully we can go in there. And Harvey has scored in his last 5 in a row against them. So hopefully, yeah, we get him out on the left side and we can get a good result, guys. It's so massive and huge. And I got to say, I forgot to say it last week, but I don't know if you guys saw, he did it again this week. Riyad Mahrez giving his shout out to the team and wishing us luck, after the Man City result. But then again, sending the blue heart and the clapping emoji after the result against Wolves. So just a quick few seconds on Riyad there, Jason. He had an amazing game yesterday. We watched the end of the bar. He had a hat trick for them against Sheffield. Just quick shout out for the Mouse Man.
Look, he is one of the greatest players I've ever seen in the shirt, and maybe one of the most skillful ever. I mean, certainly Keith Weller fans still might have something to say about that. I do appreciate a little bit more, a little bit of that classiness coming from Mahrez, especially when you look at the circumstances of how he left. So it's certainly nice to see, and it's good to see that he still cares about the club. Maybe some time away and kind of reflecting on what his life was like at Leicester, as now he's getting into his 30s now. Maybe he's kind of realized that this is a very special club that certainly deserves to stay in the league. But also did see guys like Shinji Okazaki and others who you can see how they still very closely follow the club, and I think that says a lot about the culture that was built when they were all at the club, and hopefully we are kind of getting back to that and getting back to that culture and that kind of attitude around the place, and people just looking around and remembering that things are pretty special at the club, and when everyone is on the same page and fighting for the same cause, that this club is capable of achieving the spectacular and the unthinkable.
Yeah, Jim, you echo that sentiment?
Yeah, it's lovely to see that Riyad's cheering us on, the old players are kind of rallying behind and kind of encouraging. Listening to the Pontus Kamark on Radio Leicester that was great too, to show he's watching from Sweden, and he's got some great insights, and he kind of said, of course I want us to win, but selfishly I want, because he covers the Premier League in Sweden, he said I want to be able to cover the Leicester next season as well. And that was just so awesome to see, and I think it just shows the great community spirit, and that we are a special place in the players' hearts, and how they have how we have a great connection with the players and the fans as well, and that we are a true family.
Yeah, unlike any club in the world. Did want to get your opinion real quick, Jason, because I saw your tweets earlier in the week on the absolute bullshit move by the Premier League to move yet another one of our fixtures, this time the Newcastle match, to a Monday night as well, which means we now will play Monday after this match against Leeds. Just speak for a minute on this.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Well, one of those Mondays is a bank holiday, so I guess it's not the worst thing.
Yeah.
You will see like the championship have a full slate, but the fact that these games keep getting moved, these games are getting moved under really without much timing there, just completely ruins the plans, the travel plans that folks have. People have already spent money on this. To now switch a game all the way up in Newcastle, a game that our season could, rely on, to have to move this now last minute to a Monday night. It's a disgrace. I'm sick and tired of seeing this from the league. They've been doing it just nonstop. They've done it to a lot of other clubs as well this year, but to give us 4 Monday games in a row, I think is just it shouldn't be allowed, and something needs to be done already. And I think this is something that American fans need to pay close attention to. I think we all like these clubs because we're getting to see something different than what we get to see on TV or at the stadiums and arenas in America. That the game is different, the culture is different, and a huge part of why we fall in love with these clubs is because, you know, football in the UK is hyper local. These are community clubs. These are not franchises. These are clubs that have long histories that were by and large started by the people in those communities. And traveling and going to the games is a huge part of the culture, and we the players rely on that. People look forward to that. It's an escape, but it's also something that people have the right to do and should be able to go see their football club, and it should be made as easy as possible for people to do that. But now more and more we're seeing this kind of turn into the Premier League turn into just another television show. And, you know, we'll move things around just because there's an open slot on TV, and it doesn't matter who's going to be at the game and who has, you know, spent their money to go to the game, because that's a drop in the bucket compared to the TV revenue. And it's important, I think, for fans to be aware of just how much of an inconvenience this is for the traveling fans, and also the fans that are going, you know, to home matches as well. And to even if we're watching on television, it might sound a little bit rich for me to say this, but I think we always need to remember that those folks that are going to the games should be the number one priority always. And they've gotten shafted, and the club has gotten shafted, I think, also as a result of all this. And it's not easy to then, you know, have to play these games, especially after seeing the other results come in. Sometimes it's better to be able to set a marker down and, you know, take a little bit, take some of the pressure off of the rest of the weekend. And it's just, again, you know, the Premier League goes through and they issue their kind of form apologies, which are meaningless. And it's clear that the league and Sky and the other television networks really just don't care anymore, and they're making money the way that things are currently set up, and I just don't see that there is going to be much change there unless there is a kind of a groundswell of you know, popular resistance to just how the schedules and fixtures are being treated.
Yeah, and it's a clear advantage too, that the trip up to Newcastle during the, you know, on the weekend versus going up on a Monday night. The support, I mean, it's good with people's work and stuff. Clearly going to take away from our voice at St. James, and
Absolutely.
it's bullshit, Jim.
Absolutely. It's a long travel back, and if you are trying to come home that night, you're going to be wrecked for the next day for work. You're not going to get home till, I don't know, 2 a.m, at least 3 a.m. There are some games
that's if you can even get a train back from there. You're probably have to rely on, you know,
if you're getting a train, you can't for sure. And there are some games that are local that weekend. You know, I'm looking, Tottenham play Brentford. That's the early kickoff on the Saturday. You've got Fulham Palace. You've got Southampton against Brighton, which is kind of fairly local as well.
Yeah.
You know, they could have been some good games. Look, I get that, you know, is there, you know, on one hand, it's good that because they want everyone to watch us and see if we're going to make the Great Escape too, right? And it's not great for the fans that have to travel and have probably even already bought their train tickets or have bought their, maybe booked some accommodation too if they are staying, and it's expensive to change. It's, you know, if you've got a non-refundable ticket, which you tend to do because the difference in price is incredible, you know, you could be wasting your money now. So I do really, you know, feel sorry for the fans. Yep, on a selfish point, you know, we're all at work too. That when the game's going on a Monday for the US fans, right? So it's tough to kind of pretend you've got afternoon meetings that you can't talk to your coworkers or clients or whoever 3 Mondays in a row, 4 Mondays in a row, right? So you're going to get asked, what are you doing on Monday afternoons? Are you know, looking for other jobs? So yeah, we can try and sneak in, but the amount that we love this club, the amount that we want to get in and watch the game and not have to do it on a tiny screen while you're trying to, do work and talk to people or whatever. And that's if you're in a job where you can even just watch the game in an office situation. If you're not in an office situation, then you can't even pretend to you're doing something else, right? So it's not great for anyone apart from, as Jason said, Sky and getting there, potentially having some sort of story on the line that we're there, and hopefully when we play Newcastle away, we're safe by then. Let's think about that as a positive.
Yeah, but wouldn't that be awesome for traveling fans if we're safe by that point to get a weekend, out at on the tune to celebrate and have fun and do all that. And
great place to go. We want to have a good time.
Yeah.
And be cold.
It's some bullshit, but it wouldn't be a Premier League season if we weren't getting absolutely shafted by the Premier League at every turn anyway. So once again, guys, it's Leicester City against the world, and there's hopefully no place that you'd rather be than alongside the US Foxes podcast along for this fight, because we are going to need all hands on deck. So whatever you can do Tuesday, if you can get to the pub with a friend or two or anything, if hide your phone at work, whatever you got to do, we respect the game and we are right there along with you in the struggle. So yeah, guys, Leeds Tuesday, massive match. Let's send all the good vibes. Not sure what we're going to do recording wise. We'll send a tweet out if we're going to do one between then, and I think we almost have to. So we'll keep you posted on what the pod situation is going to be. But yeah, thank you for spending a little time on this beautiful Sunday with us, celebrating 3 massive points and hopefully what is a catalyst to come for the rest of the season. So for Chris behind the scenes, Jason in New York, and Jim down in Texas, thank you all for joining us as always on the US Foxes podcast. We will see you next time. And yeah, keep the faith, guys. Let's go.